Hello, Planet of the Apes time. Sorry about the headphones. They are my husband's. The microphone on my computer is acting weird, so figured we'd go with this. So try to ignore all this. It has been a couple weeks now since I actually watched it, so I might get a little ranty. The first movie is, of course, Planet of the Apes. It is a classic. If you haven't watched it, I would say turn this off now and go watch it, because I'm gonna give away spoilers for all of them. There's no way I'll be able to resist. The story was probably the best. It was written by Rod Serling, who of course wrote Twilight Zone. So you're getting the good stuff. The makeup was done by a guy named John Chambers. He worked on a bunch of creature films at the time. If you've seen the movie Argo, John Goodman plays him in that, so a little bit of a background. There's a great scene where they recreate the, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil with orangutan judges. And it's cool that you get to see it in letterbox, because when I was a kid growing up watching it, never actually got the reference because you wouldn't see all three orangutans at the same time. And they only do it for like a second. On to the second one. It's called Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and it is beneath the Planet of the Apes. It is their weakest film. It's Charlton Heston's not in it, or he's hardly in it. He's in it for like maybe 10 minutes. He was probably contractually obligated, and that was the minimum time. Roddy McDowall is also not in it. I don't know why, but there's another actor playing his part, Cornelius, and it's pretty obvious it's not him. Also, the makeup really slipped in this one. Like, any ape who doesn't have a speaking part is clearly just wearing a mask. And it's kind of jarring after, for only the second film to have slipped that far. There's also some people who, worship a bomb. There's human mutants who worship a bomb. And they peel their faces off and weird stuff. The thing is, the bomb has, the symbols for Alpha and Omega on it. So, that is referenced later in this trilogy. So, I'll mention that when we get there. You do need to see this one to get the later references. There's also, at one point, the mutants are singing a hymn that is called Mendez's Hymn. And there's a character named Mendez later in the original series. So, that's cool. Original film series, I should say. There was also a TV series, which I haven't gotten around to. The third film is Escape from the Planet of the Apes. So, the second one, the Earth blew up at the end. But somehow, the third one, there are apes who survived and traveled back in time to the 1970s, where everything is hideous. The clothes look ugly, the furniture looks ugly. Like, they're supposed to be at a posh hotel, and it just... Ugh. Also, I don't know if it's a dated issue or the fact that the guy was a villain, but there's a doctor in the movie who is, telling Zira, who is pregnant at the time, that it's okay for her to drink alcohol, and he's smoking throughout the whole film, and it's like, is this because of the time, or is it just because he's evil? I'm not sure. There's also an actress in this one, whose name is Natalie Trundy. She actually appeared in the previous film as a mutant. She's Dr. Stevie in this one. Normal human. And then in the following films, she plays a chimpanzee. So it's cool that she continued her ape career. Yeah, it's a pretty good film. Like, it starts out really silly and light, and then it just gets depressing as the movie wears on. But it's definitely a step up from Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The third one is Escape from the Planet of the Apes. And I already said the third one. We're on to the fourth one. My bad. Fourth is Conquest. Conquest for the Planet of the Apes. It follows Zira and Cornelius' son as he grows up, and he is also played by Roddy McDowall. So he played both his father and his son. But yeah, it's as he goes through life gradually attaining power and whatnot. So Ricardo Montalban also appears in the film as Armando, and Ricardo Montalban is amazing. It's worth the price of admission just to watch Ricardo. And he has a super fun name to say. Just saying. I do feel like the storyline is kind of rushed. Like, this is the distant future now of 1993 or thereabouts. And all the cats and dogs have died. They died of some animal plague 8 years earlier. So all the humans got apes, chimps, gorillas, what have you, as pets to fill in that role. And already when this movie's taking place 8 years later, they're treating them like slaves. I'm like, I'd like to think it would take us more than 8 years to devolve to that. Call me an optimist. There's also a weird line in that movie where there's a lady who's smoking, and she says that she doesn't enjoy cigarettes as much now that she knows they won't kill her. And it's like, what? What smoking addict wrote this? Yeah, there's a couple odd moments. There was a deleted scene that I saw on the internet a while back where his speech at the end of the movie is a lot darker than it ends up. So if you want to try to look for that. On to Battle for the Planet of the Apes. This one is the last one. It's alright. It has the guy named Mendez, who wrote the hymn for Beneath the Planet of the Apes, so which is a bit in the future for him. And it has the beginnings of what would become the mutant population. Caesar is played by Roddy McDowall again, is trying to, forge a new civilization after the big war with humans and apes. He's trying to, have apes be at the top, but still, live in peace with humans. And, there's factions who are against that. It's, way more dramatic than I remembered, honestly. But, yeah, definitely all of these worth a watch. Alright. Now, then we come to the new trilogy, all of which have Andy Serkis as Caesar. These ones are all amazing. It's consistently a great trilogy. I recommend all of them. This one, Dawn, is about the beginning. And the treatments that caused him to become smarter and be able to talk. I feel like these movies kind of fill in the plot holes that were in the other movies. Like, the old ones clearly weren't made in a generation that had VHS that could rewatch. It was made for a generation where you went to the movies and were like, oh, that was a cool movie, and then 2 years later, or however, here's the sequel, and you're like, oh, I vaguely remember a detail. So these are definitely more cohesive in the story arc. And yeah, they're just amazing. It's great music, great acting in all of them, honestly. Like John Lithgow's in the first one, and he's great. One thing that's a little odd to see, just for right now, at the end of the first one, it shows like the spread of the ape flu, and I mean, it is starting in America, but the way it spreads over the earth is just a little unsettling. And then the second movie begins with a whole montage of world leaders, like, talking about the ape flu and how to prepare for it and what to do. And I'm like, this is a little too timely. A little bit. Not that I think everyone has the ape flu, of course. Yeah, and this one has Gary Oldman in it. Oldman, however you say his name. And yeah, this is just really great movie as well. And then War for the Planet of the Apes, the finale one, as far as we know, has Woody Harrelson as the antagonist, and he's amazing. This one is the one that has like, there's a human who has a tattoo of the Alpha and Omega symbol, so it's like a direct reference to Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And like, there's references in all these peppered throughout. The people who made these new ones clearly love the originals, which is great. If you're gonna remake something, remake it from a place of love. Yeah. Watch these movies, you'll have a good time, if not a little bit nervous at the end of that one and the beginning of that one. But the CG from, I think it's Weta. Anyways, it's motion capture with Andy Serkis, and like, by the last one, you almost forget that he's not an ape. Like, it's just such a great performance. It just shines through so well. The musical scoring is great too, which like helps the acting and everything. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this little video and my lovely headset. And I will have more of these soon. Talk to you later. Bye.